Hello everybody, how is it going? So, today we got some more tournament gameplay. This is the most recent tournament broadcasted by the One Piece channel. We should be in OP0... I believe this is still OP07 format. I think OP08... Is it out? I'm not sure. But either way, today we have... it's Boa versus Doffy, which I think is kind of cool. Just seeing two blue decks. I feel like that's definitely kind of rare. I think, according to most, I guess, stats for this meta right now, it's mostly just, red, purple, Law, Lucci, and Gecko, black, yellow, Luffy, and then there's, still, Bonnie, and the occasional Boa and Doffy, but, yeah, here is Boa's hand. It is Jozu, Croc, Law, Jinbei, and Gecko. I'm gonna quickly look up what the 6-drop Jozu does, because I actually don't know, so I'm gonna find that out real quick. But honestly, the package that the decks play are pretty similar. Both, just the Warlord's getting a lot of support in OP07 and EB01. So, yep. Looking at Doffy's hand, they have a Gravity Blade, a Boa, a Mihawk. Who is that? That's a crazy art. I think that's the 4-drop Gecko that adds back, and the Jinbei. So yeah. Now, hold on. Are we in OP08? Oh, this is OP08 format. I'm sorry, I lied, because this Jozu is OP08. So Jozu says you may return one of your other characters to its owner's hand, return up to 1 cost 6 or lower characters to its owner's hand. So I guess, yeah, you pay cost with returning one of your characters, and you can bounce one of their characters. I believe that's how that works. But hopping into the game, we'll see who's going first. Should be Boa going first, because they had a little card there. Nothing really to do turn 1, so probably just going to pass. Doffy looking like the same thing. I don't see a Perona, so yep, also just going to pass it back. I don't know if Boa's really going to even do much on this turn either. Probably just going to attack for 8, yeah. And I feel like Doffy is pretty okay with taking the first couple hits, because the rest of the game, your opponents are going to mainly go after your board, so... If you're allowed to draw 2 extra cards before that cycle begins, I feel like you're pretty cool with that. Obviously, from this turn on, because he should be... Oh, he's not leader affecting. Okay, opts to go with the Jinbei into the Mihawk and just pass it back. That's fair. I believe that is probably the strongest play this turn. Next turn, we can either Boa or Perona and leader effect. We'll see what he ends up doing. But Boa going up to 5 Dawn. Just going to swing for 5. It's looking like... We're probably just, play the Searcher. Sengoku, just look at top 5, add a 7 Warlords. Part of the package. I believe he's OP07, I think. I'm pretty sure, because that's when Boa comes out, and I think he was mainly support for Boa, but obviously can work in other blue decks. I haven't really seen anyone try out Croc in this format, but Doffy and Boa both seem pretty playable, which is pretty cool. And it's going to tap 4 for the Jinbei into the Gecko, adding back that 2k counter. Very solid. I feel like playing Jinbei into either Weevil or Gecko always feel good, just because you're only really dropping 1 card rather than 2, and you're still establishing two bodies, so you really can't complain at that. I'm curious what Doffy is going to opt to do this turn, if he actually is going to play the Boa, the 6-drop Boa, or he's going to hold them for later. I think you probably try to hold them, right? What else are you doing this turn? You could 4-drop Gecko, add back something, swing a bunch. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, Boa's not the worst, but I feel like you don't really want to, stop a 5k attack. It's almost kind of whatever. I guess you do get to bottom the Sengoku, which could potentially, mess up his opponent if they just want to, bottom deck their own thing to get a draw. That is Boa's effect, in case you guys don't know. You guys probably do know, but it's pretty much when you have 5 or less cards in hand and something is removed from the board, you get to draw a card. So it's either 5 or less or 4 or less. I have to double check, but yep. Doffy actually opting to swing with 6 with the Mihawk, gets to draw 2, and then discard 2. Looks like he picked up a Boa and another Sanji. I'm sorry, not a Boa, a Gecko and another Sanji. Definitely thinking of discarding the Sanji. Looking like that, and a Gravity Blade seems alright. Gravity Blade definitely gets value in against both these decks, because they're both playing 6-drop Boa. Obviously just being a very strong blue staple now. Yeah, card is really solid. It has, vanilla stat line plus a really good effect. And in a deck like blue, like most blue decks, You can kind of keep your opponent on like 1 to 2 characters, so then, you know, you stop one of those attacks, you're really safe a lot of the time. Also, swinging 7 with Jinbei. I do think what'll be interesting about this matchup is, yes, Doffy does play top end, but I believe Boa is playing both the 10-drop Kaidos. So those are pretty much, you know, like, you have to have a, what's that card? You have to have a Red Rock to answer those. And even then, Boa's still kind of trading up because there's some cool plays with both of them. Obviously, one of them is just going to draw 4, and that's the only play, but you can, like, bounce your own stuff with the other 10-drop Kaido, you know, add back, like, the Sengoku, and then, you know, you'll still get a draw as long as you don't have too many cards in hand. So, yep. Also, Boa, countering out of that 7k, ends up only taking 1 damage this turn, which, yeah, fair enough. It's fair to kind of counter like this because you obviously do want to get value out of your leader effect, and that should be happening soon. He is on, how much Dawn? He's on 7 Dawn. We could see the Jozu coming down. I'm not exactly confident how it works, but if I think it's how it works, he can, like, play Jozu, bounce his Sengoku, and then bounce one of Doffy's characters, which is pretty good because you also get to bounce the Sengoku, which means you could play it again this turn. So yeah, sounds like the card's definitely solid. Obviously, I think printed for Marco, but works well in other decks, which is always great. It's kind of, I feel like OP08 just came out for, you know, Japan, but maybe I'm wrong. I could definitely be wrong. Just going 5. I'm going to assume at one of the characters, probably the Mihawk, because it's the only character that has an effect. Doffy's going to drop a 1k, going to swing 5 again at it. You're probably losing this character, unless you want to drop 3 cards. Maybe he wants to drop 3 cards, alright, fair enough. But at this point, you're dropping 2Ks, which I feel like just feels extra bad. I don't know. Like, haven't you committed to defending this? Is he going to drop the 3rd card? Both still has 7 up, so like if you let this go, then you get hit with the Gravity Blade. You know, you lose your whole board. Obviously, we know the Boa player doesn't have one, but I feel like from the Doffy's view, that's pretty bad, but he does end up letting it go, so fair enough. Looking like a 6-drop Boa is coming down. Oh no, the Jozu. Yeah. There we go. Alright, so it does look like that is how the card works. That card, I really like that card, actually. It works really well with Boa. So yep, gonna get to draw 1 after bouncing, and is gonna replay that Sengoku. Sick value. You love to see it. I actually really like that card. I need to check out more of OP08, honestly. Especially if I'm going to start going over more of this tournament. Yeah, I'm going to have to see. I mean, obviously I can always look it up like while I'm going over the game, but probably be good just to know them off the top of my head. But Sengoku finding a 3-drop Doffy, not bad. And Boa's just going to pass it back. Doffy should be on 8 Dawn now. Is there anything great to do? Honestly, like, Gravity Blade does get some decent value here because you get rid of the 6/7. That is it's a pretty sturdy attacker, I would say. But Jozu also has counter. Yo, that card is cracked. Hold up. I'm a fan. But let's see, 8 Dawn. So what? If you Gravity Blade, you bottom deck one of the 4 drops plus the Jozu. So ideally, you'd want to clear one of the 4 drops here with just attacks. If you can get away with just going 5/6. Could also just skip out and not do the Gravity Blade and wait for more value, because you know eventually they're gonna play a 6-drop Boa, right? So it could hit that plus the Jozu, but then you let the Jozu get a little bit more value because it's obviously gonna get to attack as well. We'll see what the play is here. Okay, gonna tap 4. Okay, playing down the Gecko is gonna add back Perona. Playing down the Perona. Also, I did speed up this game a little bit because honestly, like, in general, Doffy games kind of take a while, but then it's a blue mirror, so it's gonna take even longer. It's kind of hard to see what he's stacking here. I mean, we'll see obviously when we'll get to see what he draws and he plays out of leader effect, so we'll know what he stacked. But we do see the pudding at the bottom there. But swinging 7 at the Gecko, using leader. Okay, so stack the Weevil, picks up a 2k counter. Very good. We're gonna let that Gecko go. So we're opting not to use the Gravity Blade this turn. We're kind of, I wouldn't say greeding, like that play wasn't like bad. We did, I think, go overall positive, right? Because we played one card, and then, no, we went neutral. Okay, still, but we obviously established more of our board, which is nice. Getting a 6k body is always good. Anything above kind of the baseline is solid. Boa going 5 at the Jinbei. Also, we do see the Boa player picking up one of the 10-drop Kaidos. Yeah, I feel like that card is going to be brutal against Doffy. Like, obviously, he could potentially have the answer to it, but I still feel like you're trading down. We'll see, though. We'll see. Does defend the Jinbei, I think twice there. Yeah, and then the 7k coming down, and we're letting it go. Boa tapping 3, gonna play down the Doffy. Gets to set up their next couple turns. Gets to see what they're drawing as well. I feel like no matter what, that 3-drop Doffy gets value in like almost every blue deck. Also, we get to see his stack. We see a Gravity Blade, we see a 10-drop Kaido, the draw one instead of the bounce one. We see a Croc. I think there's a, what else is in there? A Kaya. There's one more card that I can't quite make out. Oh, the Jozu. Okay, okay. I couldn't quite tell what we put on top there. Okay, tapping 6, playing down the Boa is going to freeze the Weevil and bottom deck the Perona, and then we'll get to draw here, so we'll know what he stacked on top. What was it? It was the Kaya. Alright, fair enough. Just grabbing more 2Ks to defend the board. If they start attacking your life, you're probably taking at least one attack there, because honestly, it's just kind of good for you, getting one more card. But also, it could mess up your leader effect, so there is that. But we'll see what Doffy wants to do here. He did just set up his the top of his deck, so Sanji is a possibility, you know, could come down. I'm curious if he's running like a Mihawk, or is it the Sanji target just gonna end up being the Boa? I feel like Boa's a fine target. Just going 5 at, I'm gonna assume the Jinbei. Okay, so we're not Sanjiing this turn. We're just gonna swing 7 at the Jinbei. Leader effect, bring out the vanilla Gecko Moria. Tapping 7, getting that max value Gravity Blade. I'd say greeting it was worth it. Honestly, I felt like that was a really productive turn. Our opponent just has a 5k body on board. And yeah, we can count the 1-drop. Like sometimes when you're going for game, they matter. I mean, they always kind of matter, but you'd invest 3 Dawn to attack with them. But still, Doffy being at 4 life, so is Boa. Yep, sounds like an average blue game. Honestly, I kind of enjoy blue mirrors. I feel like the last time I went to locals, or like might have been longer ago than that, but I played Croc versus Doffy, and I think it was 04 format or something like that. And like the game was basically in time, but like it was fun. Like it felt very back and forth, which is always cool. But Boa playing down the Kaido, bouncing the Weevil, and their own, what's his name, Sengoku, and then getting a draw, picking up the Croc, yet another 2k. Yeah, I feel like that card is so cool in this deck. Like honestly, that type of interaction makes me want to play Boa. We'll see. I might have to check her out. There's kind of a lot of stuff I want to check out, honestly. I know a lot of creators have started checking out OP08, which is fair. I don't blame them, but I feel like I'm a little bit behind right now. I'll have to go through more of the OP07 decks, which is, I mean, we're coming up on OP07, right? I believe it's the end of the month, so that is cool. I'm probably just going to stick with Black Yellow Luffy, unless I get hooked on some other deck when I'm trying stuff out. We'll see, but yeah. I do also like Bonnie, but I don't know if I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, Doffy just playing down the Perona there, and then just bullying down this Jinbei. Do we keep it around? It's looking like the Sanji's coming down, so we probably, I didn't get to see what he stacked. I wish I was looking. That's my bad. So yep, is going to defend the Jinbei. Plays down the Sanji. Yep, alright, we get out the Boa. We're gonna freeze the Kaido. And bottom deck our own Perona, which might look weird, but it's literally just to prevent Boa from bottom decking it and getting a draw. Obviously, we get no value out of that, but I think we're fine with it, just to not give them, like, super free resources if they do opt to play the 6-drop. But Boa stacked the 10 drop for this turn, the draw 4. It is not going to be able to draw 4 unless you take 2 of your opponent's lives, which could happen. Like, the 12k will obviously go through, and then they might end up taking one of the 5ks, and then you could draw 4, and you'd be feeling pretty good. Especially having 2 10 drops on board and one of them didn't get answered. I'm not even sure if Doffy would be playing the Red Rock. Like, I feel like Gravity Blade is just a very strong tempo play, and it seems very good in this format against multiple decks. You know, like Bonnie plays like Hawkins, plus like Cavendish. Those are 2 great targets. Obviously, Hawkins is a little weird because he can kind of protect himself, but also like whatever. Lucci has 5 drops, has 4 drops, so you know you're always gonna have Sabo, which is great to bottom deck. See, I feel like Gravity Blade just has too many good targets that if you're gonna choose to play either Gravity Blade or Red Rock, I feel like Gravity Blade will usually get more value. But Boa using Gravity Blade, as I'm talking so much about it, and does put Doffy down to 2 life. So next turn they can 10 drop Kaido if they want to. Doffy now has quite a big hand. He's gonna go 7 at the Jinbei, use leader, cheat out a Weevil, pick up a Law. By the way, I love that art. The art is sick. I'm not sure if it just has a straight up alternate art, that Law, or if that's like a special promo or something, but art is sick. Doffy's gonna tap 6. We're once again gonna freeze the 10 drop because that's some great value. We can't complain at that. And I imagine this turn as Boa, we're already kind of above our hand size to get a draw off our leader. We have 3 life, you know, like our opponent's board is a little bit scary, but this 10 drop Kaido should be able to clear something. Probably not the Sanji, but can definitely go after that Weevil. Also, Doffy does defend the 5k at his life. That's completely fair. You probably don't want to be taking 5ks when your opponent has a 12k body on board. Could just randomly die, and then you'd be sad. Our Boa is definitely thinking about playing the 10 drop. I feel like what other time are you going to have to play this 10 drop, so I'm definitely down. I agree with the play. Yep, it's coming down. We're drawing 4. Card is so crazy. We do see a Red Rock, but obviously does get to draw that. Let's see what else he picks up. Let's see. Another 10 drop Kaido. Hey, looks like a Law. The Red Rock we just saw, and a 4 drop Gecko. Not bad, not bad. Opting. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. The 10 drop Kaido could not swing this turn because of Boa. Yep. But passing over to Doffy. Immediately just going 7 with the Weevil. We're probably just gonna play a Boa down again. We might skip out on leader effect and play a blocker plus Boa, because we're gonna need to start getting some defense down, because already 2 12k bodies on board. Like, yeah, we can stop one, but we need an answer for the other one. And playing a blocker plus Boa does kind of let us have an answer for both, at least for the time being. I feel like for the rest of this game, Doffy's just going to play the game of try to keep his board alive, and then play blockers like every turn, and then just eventually try to go for game. Does take the 9k. Boa looking like, yep, got a Gravity Blade trigger. Bottom decks the Weevil. Goodbye. Doffy playing down the 3 drop blocker. We're looking good. Sees a Croc, a Moria. That looks like another Sanji. I didn't get to see what he put on top. I'm going to guess a 2k, because having a 2k sounds good. Playing down the Boa, freezing one of the 10 drops, passing it over. It's kind of funny. I feel like it does look like they're moving very fast. Obviously, I know I sped up the video, but I still feel like this game, with it sped up, feels like a reasonable pace, right? I don't feel like they're playing like too fast or anything. Obviously, I feel like a lot of these players like to take their time, which is, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. It's I feel like whenever I play around here, everyone's just trying to speedrun games. Like, how fast can we get through these turns? Which, I mean, honestly, like, early turns shouldn't be that hard. There's like maybe a few decisions, but yeah. Boa going 5. Doffy obviously can't take that. This 12k might be blocked. Ooh, unless we just get denied having a blocker on board. Yep, bouncing the Boa And the 3-drop Doffy, getting the draw, picks up a red rock. I guess what's pretty nice about Sanji is that you can't really red rock Sanji because they always just trade up with whatever Sanji played out. So that is pretty nice. The Boa getting cleared by one of the 10-drop Kaidos. Boa just has a board of 10-drop Kaidos, that's funny. I think the bounce art Kaido is so cool. I love that art. I'm not the biggest fan of the other one, but that's alright. So it's definitely... It's nearing time for Doffy that we need to go for game. Obviously this turn we can't. At most we hope to put him down to 0. And we can take that as a win. We still have 2 blockers in hand. We could play a blocker plus a Boa. We could just play 2 blockers and then just go 9-9. And I feel like that's okay. Honestly, getting the Weevil down also doesn't feel the worst just because you could potentially find something. You could like play Weevil plus both blockers and then just the 9k will probably go through. So you put them to 1 and you kind of get a much wider board. Alright, we're going 3 Dawn on leader. Gonna use effect. We'll cheat out a Jinbei, which will cheat out the Weevil, which will draw us a card. Feels great. And we are left with 6 Dawn, which is just enough to play down both our blockers. So yeah, this is a great play. I think he had the Jinbei stacked. I would imagine he knew. I'm not sure how many turns it's been since the last stack effect he's played, but we're gonna say he had that planned, and it was a great play. I imagine like Boa can get out of this attack, but is it worth it? Looks like they're gonna do it. I guess inevitably you're taking 1 life, so you can't counter out of the 9, and if you get no counter out of the first attack, you'd end up taking both your life, which you'd feel bad about. So preserving the 1 life, fair enough. We're tapping 3, playing the Doffy. Our Doffy player gets his Dawn returned to him, must have fallen over. We see a bunch of leader effect targets, some 2Ks in there, some geckos, usual business. You're gonna play the second Doffy and just pass. Obviously we don't have to resolve the effect twice unless we wanted to like bottom deck off the first one and then you know, check out the top after, you know, the bottom decking. You guys know what I mean. Regardless, Boa picks up another 10-drop Kaido. It's not looking great for Boa. No blockers, very little counter, very little cards in hand. I feel like you have 2 plays and it's either just 10-drop Kaido or like try to go for game with using red rock to bottom one of the blockers, but then your opponent has to get out of a 9k swing, which I feel like isn't too far-fetched. Obviously we know our Doffy can get out of a 9k swing, so yeah. If he has, I think if Boa has Gravity Blade here, it might just be game because you bottom deck both the blockers. It's just like 12, 12, 15. That should just be game. You still have a 5k on top of that. Yeah, but obviously no Gravity Blade in the Boa's hand. It's probably very scary for the Doffy player. He's like, it's probably just a, oh, if he has it kind of moment. Was probably checking out the graveyard to see how many of those were used. Also obviously probably checking 2k counters, because it's always good to know how many your opponent has used. Boa just starting off with the 12k that will be blocked by Doffy. I'm trying to think how much of his board can he clear that maybe he would live with 1 life. The second 12k will probably get blocked. Then you could like try to clear Sanji with one of the 12s, and then 5 at Jinbei, and then you could just bounce whatever else with the 10 drop. Or yeah, you could play the 10 drop first, bounce the blocker and the Weevil, and then just bully down the Sanji and potentially clear the Jinbei. Curious what the play is here. Just gonna go 5 at life or Jinbei, either one. Regardless, it will get countered out of. Yeah, I think we 10 drop now. Definitely at least. Yep. Bounce both the 4 drop and the 3 drop, but we'll get a draw. It is another 2k, which is nice. Going 12 at the Sanji. That'll be met with 2 2Ks, so you know the Sanji's dying, but at least you get to keep your Jinbei. If you didn't defend that, Sanji gets cleared and Jinbei gets cleared, so you preserve your 2 bodies. And yeah, you most certainly have to go for game. There are 4 10 drops on the board, and there are no blockers in your hand, so it is definitely time. We're going to start off with a 9 with Jinbei. That will be taken. And then, yep, our bow only having 2 2Ks in hand, and then picked up a 1K off life, so yeah. Well played by the Doffy player. Well played by both of them. It's cool to just like see blue have all these good cards. Just being able to play the game is pretty sweet. I hope we get more blue versus like the meta decks, because I'm curious how those matchups look. Obviously, I feel like the mirror will always be, not even saying this is a mirror, but they play similar cards. It's just kind of leader effects are different, but yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.